Imagine, for a second, the ultimate construction client.
Okay.
And I mean the absolute dream scenario for your business. What if you had a client who, possesses hundreds of billions of dollars in planned project spending?
Sounds pretty good so far.
Right? Who always pays their bills and who is legally required to pay you in under 30 days.
Wow.
Oh, and it gets better. If they're even a single day late, they actually owe you interest.
Yeah, you're probably thinking this client is a total myth, right?
Exactly, like finding a unicorn that, actually shows up on time and sweeps the site before it leaves.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah. But, welcome to today's deep dive here on Scaling Legends. If you are a construction business owner out there looking to scale your operations and build a lasting legacy, consider this your blueprint.
Because that mythical client actually exists.
It does. It is the United States federal government. And today, our mission is to give you the exact step-by-step strategy to bypass all that notorious red tape, claim your piece of that massive pie, and
use cutting-edge AI to actually manage the workload once you win it.
Exactly.
Really is the holy grail of contracting.
Yeah.
For this deep dive, we are pulling from a really fascinating stack of materials.
Yeah, a comprehensive breakdown of expert strategies on federal contracting.
Right, paired directly with an operational analysis of AI management tools built specifically for the construction industry.
So we are looking at the exact mechanics of how to win the work, and then, crucially, how to execute it without, drowning your team in administrative chaos.
Yeah, nobody wants that.
Okay, let's unpack this, because if we have just established that this dream client exists with endless capital and guaranteed prompt payments, why are so many incredibly talented, highly capable construction business owners actively running in the opposite direction?
It's crazy, right?
It feels a bit like refusing to mine for gold just because the gate to the mine has a complicated lock on it.
That's a great way to put it.
I talk to contractors all the time who would rather chase down a flaky residential client for a final payment than even look at a federal bid.
Yeah, well, it comes down to the intimidation factor.
Right.
The perception is that government work is just this black hole of bureaucracy, impenetrable paperwork, and endless compliance rules.
Oh, for sure.
Contractors look at things like SAM registration, NAICS codes, bonding thresholds, and prevailing wage laws, and they immediately opt out.
They just say no thanks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But here is the reality. Once you get through that initial setup, the federal procurement process is incredibly systematic. It is highly predictable.
Which is the exact opposite of the private sector.
Oh, totally.
In the private sector, you might finish a phase of work, submit your invoice, and then crickets.
Just waiting around.
You are suddenly playing the role of a bank, floating the costs of materials and fronting payroll for your crews for 45, 60, sometimes 90 days, while a private developer drags their feet.
Precisely. And that cash flow bottleneck is what kills scaling construction businesses.
Absolutely.
This is where we have to look at the mechanics of the Prompt Payment Act. This isn't just a guideline. It is a federal law that strictly mandates the government must pay its contractors within 30 days of receiving a proper invoice.
30 days, legally mandated.
Yes. And if they miss that window, the Treasury automatically calculates and adds interest to your payment.
You just do not find that kind of financial protection in private commercial or residential work.
You really don't. What's fascinating here is the sheer, unprecedented scale of this client. The U.S. government is the single largest buyer of construction services on planet Earth.
That's incredible.
And that pipeline is expanding. In fact, Smart Business Automator's Market Intelligence Report projects federal construction spending to increase 12% in 2026 alone.
Wow, a 12% increase. That is a massive wave of capital entering the market.
Huge.
And knowing that this wave is coming, the immediate question is how a mid-sized contractor actually positions themselves to catch it. Let's look at the mechanics of that lock on the gate. Because when people hear government registration, they imagine, waiting in a digital DMV line for 6 months.
Filling out forms in triplicate.
Exactly. So if a contractor decides today that they want in, are they looking at a 6-month bureaucratic nightmare where their paperwork just disappears?
Actually, no. It is surprisingly straightforward if you follow the blueprint.
Yeah.
Because the system is designed to be self-serve.
Okay.
The gateway to all of this is sam.gov. The system for award management. First and foremost, registration is entirely free.
That's huge because I see ads for companies charging for that.
Yes, a lot of predatory third-party services will try to charge thousands of dollars to do this for you. Don't fall for it.
Good to know.
Second, the whole process only takes about 2 to 3 weeks to process.
Oh, that's really not bad at all.
Not at all. You just need your exact prerequisites lined up before you sit down at the computer. Your DUNS number, your tax ID, and your basic company information.
Right.
The most strategic piece of advice from our sources is to complete this setup right now, long before you actually need it.
So it's essentially doing your administrative chores before the storm hits.
Exactly.
Ensuring a pending status doesn't lock you out of a sudden bid, because you don't want to find the perfect $1 million opportunity on a Thursday, only to realize you can't submit the proposal by Friday because your SAM registration is still grinding through the system.
Exactly. Get it done on a quiet Tuesday. But getting registered is really only step one. The government also has to know exactly what you do.
Right, because if I am an electrical contractor, I do not want to be bombarded with hundreds of daily solicitations for concrete pouring or drywall.
No, that would be a nightmare.
So how does the system actually filter that massive volume of work to the right people?
That is where NAICS codes come in. NAICS stands for North American Industry Classification System.
Okay.
Think of it as a highly specific search engine optimization for your business.
Oh, I like that comparison.
Yeah, these are numerical codes that classify the exact mechanics of the work you perform. Our sources are very precise on this.
Give me some examples.
Sure. So if you were an electrical contractor, your primary code is 238210.
Okay, 238210.
Right. If you do plumbing, heating, or AC, it's 238220.
Got it.
General contracting for commercial and institutional building is 236220. You need to pick the codes that precisely match your primary trades.
Because that's what the buyers are looking for.
Exactly. The procurement officers, the government employees buying the services, they use these exact codes to filter the contractor database when they are issuing solicitations.
So it is essentially a matchmaking algorithm for construction.
Exactly.
They type in the code for plumbing, and only the registered plumbers get the alert. Okay, so we've got the lock picked.
Yeah.
We're registered in SAM. We have our NAICS codes dialed in. The natural temptation for a hungry contractor at this point is to, swing for the fences and bid on the biggest job they can find.
Oh, absolutely.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Our sources strongly warn against that. This is where the Trojan horse strategy comes into play.
Yes, and that is a perfect analogy if we look at the mechanics of it.
Right, because a Trojan horse isn't just about starting small, it's about using a seemingly insignificant low-risk package to sneak your company's operational excellence past the government's heavy scrutiny.
Precisely.
You do not want to bid on a $50 million military base renovation for your very first federal job.
No, that's a recipe for disaster.
You want to use a smaller job to get inside the gates, prove your reliability, and position yourself to capture the massive contracts once you are already trusted.
That is the most critical strategic pivot a business owner can make in this arena.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the government doesn't just award massive contracts to a complete unknown, regardless of how good your proposal looks.
Makes sense.
They want a proven track record of reliability. So you bypass the heavy competition by targeting what the government calls simplified acquisitions.
Simplified acquisitions.
These are federal contracts valued under $250,000.
Which, to be clear, is still a very healthy-sized project for most growing companies.
Absolutely. It's a great chunk of change.
Right.
But in the eyes of the federal government, it's petty cash.
Right.
Because these are smaller jobs, the bidding requirements are vastly simplified. The compliance burdens are lighter, and crucially, the massive national mega contractors aren't bothering to compete for them.
Oh, so you aren't fighting the giants.
Exactly. It's the perfect training ground to learn the federal ropes, train your administrative team, and establish your past performance record.
I see.
And from there, you can leverage one of the most powerful tools in the federal ecosystem: set-aside programs.
I'm so glad you brought this up, because if you look at Smart Business Automator's Market Intelligence Report, the data we pulled for this deep dive, they note that small business set-asides represent over $150 billion in annual federal contracting.
It's massive.
That is a massive carve-out of capital that larger corporations legally cannot touch.
It is entirely by design. The government is legally mandated to spend a specific percentage of its contracting budget with designated categories of businesses.
Right.
So if you are a small business, a veteran-owned business, a women-owned business, a minority-owned business, or if you operate in a historically underutilized business zone, a hub zone,
Okay.
there are contracts specifically reserved or set aside just for you. You are essentially competing in a much smaller, highly protected pool of applicants.
So you start small with the simplified acquisitions, you use your specific business status to win these set-asides, and you start carving out your piece of that $150 billion pie.
Exactly.
And let me throw some cold water on this because there are financial realities that still scare people off.
Sure.
We hear the words bonds and prevailing wages, and suddenly that profit margin starts looking a little, shaky to a private sector contractor.
I get that, but if we connect this to the bigger picture, the financial compliance is actually what protects your margins, not what destroys them.
Okay, explain that.
Let's demystify bonding first. A lot of contractors think they need massive bonding capacity just to look at a federal website.
Right.
For those unfamiliar, a surety bond is essentially a financial guarantee. You pay a surety company, and they tell the government, hey, we financially vouch for this contractor's ability to finish the job and pay their subs.
And getting a surety company to vouch for you usually requires intense financial audits, which is a huge barrier to entry.
Exactly. But the reality is that federal jobs only require performance and payment bonds when the contract value exceeds $150,000.
Oh, which perfectly aligns with the Trojan horse strategy.
Exactly.
If you use a $75,000 simplified acquisition to get inside the gates, you don't even need to stress about the bond yet.
Precisely. You start below that threshold, you complete the work, you get paid promptly within 30 days, and you use that growing financial stability and cash flow to approach a surety company later.
That makes so much sense.
You build your bonding capacity over time. Your bonding limit is a true growth limiter in construction, so you have to build it proactively, step by step.
Okay, that covers the bond hurdle, but let me offer some strategic pushback here on the labor side.
Go for it.
Davis-Bacon prevailing wage laws. These dictate that you have to pay your workers a federally determined, often much higher wage rate on government projects.
Yes, they do.
If I am suddenly forced by law to pay my crew 30% more per hour than I normally do, doesn't that immediately kill my profit margin? I feel like my profitability just evaporated.
It is a completely logical fear, but it actually completely flips the script on how you calculate margins.
How so?
Well, in the private sector, if your labor costs spike due to overtime or market shortages, you usually have to eat the difference.
Yeah, you take the hit.
But in federal contracting, the government actually expects to pay prevailing wages. They mandate it. Therefore, when you build your bid, your billing rates increase to precisely match those mandated wages.
Let me make sure I am grasping the math here. You aren't hiding the higher cost or absorbing it. You are baking it right into the foundation of the proposal.
Exactly. You are billing the government for the higher wage, plus your standard markup percentage.
Oh, wow.
Think about it. 20% profit on a worker making $50 an hour is mathematically more total dollars in your pocket than 20% profit on a worker making $30 an hour.
Right.
Because the baseline revenue of the project is larger due to the higher labor costs, your total dollar profit actually increases.
That is wild.
Your margins can be better on federal work than in the private sector because you have a client that fundamentally understands, expects, and happily funds the true cost of skilled labor.
So what does this all mean? It means we have just built a compounding flywheel.
Yes, we have.
You start with the sub $250,000 simplified acquisitions. You bypass the bonding barrier entirely.
Yep.
You price in the Davis-Bacon wages so your profit margins are actually expanding. And then you execute the work perfectly to get inside the gates.
And that execution is what spins the flywheel. In the federal system, past performance is weighed incredibly heavily in future bid evaluations.
So it isn't just about being the lowest bidder.
Not at all. It is about being the most reliable. Every single federal job you successfully complete makes the next one mathematically easier to win.
I love that.
The sources show that after successfully delivering 3 to 5 contracts, you transition in the eyes of procurement officers. You stop being a risky unknown, and you become a preferred bidder. The work starts compounding rapidly.
But with that compounding volume comes a brand new threat.
Always a catch, right?
Right. Once you land these highly profitable, prompt-paying jobs, the challenge completely shifts. If I am scaling from 2 federal projects to 10, my immediate fear is that I'm going to have to hire a small army of new administrators just to handle the daily logs, the massive spec books, and tracking the cash flow.
Yeah, the paperwork can be intense.
The overhead is going to eat the profit I just made.
Keeping a precise eye on the money moving in and out is vital at that scale. Smart Business Automator's Market Intelligence Report emphasizes this exact point.
Right.
They help contractors track payment compliance automatically across their entire project portfolio, ensuring that 30-day prompt payment clock is strictly monitored without manual data entry.
Which is huge.
But your point about administrative bloat is critical. This raises an important question. How do project management teams actually handle this kind of scale without fracturing their operations?
Yeah, how do they?
Because federal projects, while lucrative, are incredibly documentation heavy. The government loves its specifications, its daily logs, and its compliance reports.
Oh yeah, they do.
If you try to scale using the same spreadsheets, whiteboards, and manual email chains, you will bleed out all your profit in administrative overhead.
So how does a modern construction business owner solve this without just throwing expensive new hires at the problem?
They deploy artificial intelligence. And we need to be clear here. I do not mean basic internet chatbots. I mean utilizing purpose-built AI project assistants that integrate deeply into your company's nervous system.
Give me an example of how that works.
Let's look at exactly how this tech mechanically changes day-to-day operations. First, let's talk about smart document organization and computer vision.
Okay.
On a federal job, you have thousands of photos, plans, permits, and submittals. Previously, a project manager might spend 4 hours on a Friday manually clicking through digital folders just to find a specific photo of a P-trap installation to prove compliance.
Oh man, I've been there. It's the worst.
Right. But with AI, it doesn't just store the photo, it actually sees it. The computer vision automatically identifies the plumbing fixture, tags the location based on the blueprint, and categorizes it the second the superintendent uploads it from their phone.
Wow, so it turns a 4-hour scavenger hunt into a 3-second search query.
Exactly.
What about the daily reporting? Because federal jobs require meticulous daily logs detailing weather, manpower, and work completed.
AI handles that by utilizing natural language processing, or NLP. It turns raw, messy voice notes from the field and rough meeting transcripts into clear, structured daily log summaries.
Really? Just from voice notes?
Yeah. It automatically extracts the key takeaways, assigns action items to specific subcontractors, and flags next steps.
That saves so much time.
It does. But the real superpower of NLP is in document intelligence. Federal specification books, the rule books for how the building must be constructed, can be hundreds of pages of dense legalese and technical requirements.
Which usually requires a seasoned project manager drinking 3 cups of coffee just to read through and ensure they aren't missing a bizarre clause about paint thickness.
Exactly. But the AI reads and contextualizes that entire 500-page document instantly.
Instantly?
Yes. It cross-references the dense federal acquisition regulation clauses against your daily logs and field photos to catch minor compliance items that a tired human might miss.
That's wild.
Let's say you receive a massive request for information, an RFI from a subcontractor, asking for a clarification on a structural detail. The AI instantly drafts a highly technical response by scanning all the historical context, the previous project documentation, and the original specs, serving it up to the project manager for a final review.
That is incredible. It is basically a digital superintendent that never sleeps, doing all the heavy lifting so your human team can focus on actual problem solving.
That's exactly what it is.
But does this talk to the software these companies are already using, or is it another siloed app they have to check?
No, it goes directly into the actual systems you already use.
Oh, good.
We are talking about custom AI workflows and API integrations that connect directly with a contractor's existing enterprise resource planning software, their ERPs, which handle their accounting, inventory, and human resources.
Okay, so it's fully integrated.
Yes. When the AI is integrated seamlessly into your ERP, it performs schedule risk detection. It analyzes the project activity and automatically identifies bottlenecks or delays before they become catastrophic.
Give me a concrete example of that. How does it actually predict a delay?
Okay, let's say a custom piece of electrical switchgear is flagged in the system as delayed by 3 weeks due to supply chain issues.
A classic scenario.
Right. The AI instantly recalculates the critical path of the project, the sequence of dependent tasks that dictate the final completion date.
Okay.
It realizes that without the switchgear, the drywallers can't finish, which means the painters can't start. It flags the schedule risk immediately and monitors the budget variances in real time.
Wow.
It analyzes the ripple effect of change orders, evaluating exactly how a sudden alteration in scope will impact timelines and costs.
That allows leadership to respond strategically, resequencing the trades, rather than reactively putting out fires when the drywallers show up and have to stand around doing nothing.
Exactly.
It allows your existing project managers to handle significantly more volume because the AI is carrying the administrative burden. You are fundamentally decoupling your revenue growth from your headcount.
It is a complete operational transformation. You move from chasing chaotic, slow-paying private work to executing highly structured, highly profitable federal contracts supported by intelligent technology.
To bring this all together, we have gone on quite the journey today.
We really have.
We started by confronting the deep-seated fear of government paperwork and that intimidating lock on the gate. We unlocked it by demystifying SAM registration and explaining how NAICS codes act as a matchmaking filter.
Yep.
We bypassed the heavy competition by utilizing the Trojan horse strategy of simplified acquisitions and protected set-aside programs. We proved that prevailing wages actually expand your total dollar profit.
The math doesn't lie.
And finally, we explored the mechanics of how deploying AI project assistance with computer vision and NLP allows you to handle the massive volume of a preferred federal bidder without drowning in overhead.
You are building a system that scales seamlessly.
And that leaves you with one final, incredibly provocative thought to chew on as we wrap up.
Let's hear it.
Think about what this does to your business DNA over the course of a few years. If the federal government trains your construction business to expect guaranteed 30-day payments, and you implement precise, tech-driven AI project management to handle that massive load, how is that going to permanently alter the power dynamic?
Oh, that's a great point.
Imagine the leverage you will have when you eventually go back to the negotiating table with private developers who still operate on messy spreadsheets and demand 90-day payment terms.
They won't know what hit them.
You won't just be another contractor begging for a job. You will be an absolute machine. You will dictate the terms because you simply don't need their chaotic work anymore.
You raise the standard of your business, which ultimately forces the entire industry to elevate.
Well said. Thank you for joining us on this journey today. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please subscribe to Scaling Legends on your preferred platform.
Yes, please do.
Leave us a rating and a review. It really helps other contractors in the industry discover the show. And don't keep this a secret. Share this with your colleagues, your business partners, or your project management team so you can all get aligned on the future of construction.
And definitely look into the tools we mentioned.
Right. Make sure you explicitly visit smartbusinessautomator.com to learn more about how to actually implement the AI tools and strategies we talked about today. Until next time, keep building, keep growing, and never settle for 90-day terms.